I don't know what's worse, going first, last, or right before Scott. But, so, I want to put in perspective here, this is really kind of the journey that UNH Extension has gone through. And I know that we all have very different models, both financial and within the university. But I am excited to share with you some of the significant changes that we're making. So, not surprising, what drove us to this new way of doing business, it was initially funding. So, as you can see in that figure, we had about a 30% reduction in our state funds, which we depended largely on in FY11 into FY12, and there really hasn't been a lot of growth. We've had small growth over time, 15, 16, 17, and we're leveling out for 18 and projecting into 19, that state fund. So when you dig deeper into it, there are some reasons why I strongly believe this happened. And one was there was an unclear total value of UNH to New Hampshire decision makers. And if you don't know much about New Hampshire, we have about a legislator for every 2 people in the state. So we have 400 House members and 24 senators in 10 counties. Unclear value of extension to the university beyond traditional roles. Where are we? What is our value? Underused use of extension by the university to support their narrative on return on investment. And unclear value of extension to county decision makers. So we're in a similar situation to many of you that every year we go through a negotiation at the county level for our county funding, and every 2 years with the state as part of the university system of New Hampshire. So how did we initially respond? I think we did what a lot of folks did, and what do we need to do right now to survive this financial cut? So we emphasize grants and contracts, so how can we grow our grants and contracts for extension to make up for that loss? And then we implemented a hybrid extension faculty model. So within UNH, extension educators are a faculty classification, and we now have a hybrid for our state faculty members who are within departments at the university. They're not tenure track, but they're not research faculty, but they're required to bring in 25% of their funding. So that was a financial decision that was made that was very beneficial, but I think it had lots of consequences in terms of the relationship between our state faculty and the academic units on campus. We implemented an equitable county funding process, and then began the process of willingness to pay surveys to understand what the growth potential was for fee-for-service work. And then we just started then hiring someone to do private research development. So at that time, we were still infants, and we were doing an annual campaign for the first time ever. So what's more important is what have we done since 2014 to make meaningful change and anticipate the university's shift to workforce development and enrollment? And what can extension play as part of that? So we wanted to build university connections and then continue to diversify our funding portfolio. So the first thing that we did in 2014, we had a wonderful opportunity to centralize non-credit programs for the university. So what that meant was bringing on UNH Professional Development and Training, which was the school for continuing ed. This is a for-profit engine, nice pipelines into academic degree programs, a wonderful way to broaden our impact at the community level when we go into a community, assess their needs, that there's a lot of business, leadership, management, and continuing education requirements for employed people in those communities that we can now reach more directly. And then we wanted to become, and this is still moving forward, the university's gateway for non-credit programs. And we started to do that from a very administrative process where we've taken on the role of Destiny One administration. So Destiny One is simply just a platform for taking money in registrations. So with this Destiny One administration, we now are responsible for all fee-based non-credit programs. So we're almost enrollment for the non-credit space at UNH. And this was a key important issue to engage us at the table with the other colleges that are doing non-credit. A little bit about UNH PD&T. They bring in about 3,000 enrollments a year. We have 250 workshops, conferences, and certificate programs, 175 instructors, which is up to about 324 now, and now 15 employees. So continuing on that theme of university connection and return on investment, we needed to anchor across the academic colleges. We have great historical relationships with the College of Life Science and Agriculture and the Ag Experiment Station. But in order to maintain that narrative about the value we provide across the university, i.e. funding, it was important that we developed and anchored ourselves beyond the College of Life Science and Ag. So we've done that in a few ways. We have faculty that are in other colleges now with joint appointments. College of Liberal Arts, College of Health and Human Services are a few of them. But the UNH Stormwater Center, so I'm always interested in how other people are doing business. I love the water program in New Jersey, so how can we do this at UNH Extension? Well, there's a UNH Stormwater Research Center that's part of our College of Engineering and Physical Sciences. So we got together, had a conversation, how can we leverage the nationally recognized research that the Stormwater Center is doing with Extension and UNH Professional Development and Training to build revenue pathways, but just as importantly, to bring out the research that they're continuously providing in areas of sustainable building and stormwater mitigation. So now working together to build their extension component, but then work together to build revenue for both the College of Engineering and Physical Science and UNH Extension. And the second one is the UNH STEM Discovery Lab. This is a joint administered program like the Stormwater Center with UNH at Manchester. So this is a gateway for teaching, research, and youth development around STEM. So again, another collaboration. Manchester is our biggest gateway to communities, our underserved populations, and it's another way to bring in potential revenue sources, but just as importantly, to build collaborations that we can provide and leverage meaningful youth program development and teacher education. One that we're enacting on, we have a new dean at the College of Engineering and Physical Science who gets extension, and he's very much interested in building a partnership around the existing manufacturing extension program, which I think is fundamentally important. UNH Extension, we work with about 3,000 businesses every year, and the engineering sector is a place that we can provide value. So then, I think this, I would say, is one of the most important narratives that we've begun to tell and build, connecting to the University of New Hampshire as a whole to try to keep our funding healthy. UNH has created this career and professional success initiative across the university. I'm sure many have done this now. It's all about workforce development. So we as Extension, we know we're a fantastic gateway for experiential application of knowledge opportunities for both undergraduates and graduate students. Looking at Cornell Extension's program got me thinking, I love that program. Can we bring that to UNH? So we've been working over the last couple years to build out our collaboration across the university with undergraduate students and placing them in internship opportunities. So they're actually adding more hands to our work. So we have them working on farms, we have them working in the county forest, we have them doing curriculum development for our 4-H programs. It's been incredibly successful. Some numbers that you may not be able to read, we've worked with 174 University System of New Hampshire faculty last year, and more than 300 students were mentored, both at the academic or within our internship programs. And I would like to think that we'll continue to grow this. So by showing the university that we can do this and we can do it well, they've actually put money on the table and hired a coordinator that we're not paying for to help build this program, which is important. We're not paying, but they understand the value. I have 5 minutes left. So corporate engagement is another big kind of intersection point between the university's mission and ours. So we work with many farms. We work with many small businesses at the community level. So how can we bring those connections to a broader audience at UNH for pipelines for jobs, for research collaboration with local needs? And we're only now thinking about graduate student credentialing. So how can we help graduate students with their workforce readiness and their kind of resumes as they think about the future? So again, collaborating with the engineering and physical sciences. Six Sigma and lean training is absolutely something that would look great on their resumes if you have a master's degree in engineering. We're thinking more broadly about grant writing and project management. So these are programs that we already offer an extension, not thinking of new programs, but we're applying them to a university need to underscore the importance of the outreach mission and the land grant mission of the university. So then another exciting area, thinking about Penn State. If you haven't seen their new website, I recommend highly that you do. It's incredible. It's a new way of doing business and interacting with stakeholders. So we've invested a lot in customer relationship management software. Platform we use is Salesforce. We tie that into Drupal and then Destiny One to take payment. I can give you a very quick example. Government relations, this is incredibly important to us, where now, with your IP address, we know where you are. We can practically see you sitting at your computer. So we used to, let's say one of our counties was wanting to zero us out, which is not uncommon. We would send a blanket email out to thousands of stakeholders and get very little response, 2 or 3% response rate. What we can do now is we can go through that list and we can apply a coefficient of engagement to every person that steps foot into our virtual land, soon to be also our in-person programs, and identify people that repeatedly use our stuff and could potentially be advocates. So that list of 4,000 might only be 150 or 200 people in a very local community. I reach out to them, ask them to advocate on our behalf, have meetings with them. 70–80% response rate as opposed to 2 to 3%. It's been very successful the last 2 years in 2 counties that we have issues with. Being able to really drive who cares about what we're doing and uses our materials. But also, what you can do is predictive analytics and co-branding. So we can get into kind of Google people, we understand what they're interested in, and we hope to provide a unique environment. So when someone comes to our website, they're interested in ag or farmers markets, they can kind of delegate what their interests are and then have a dynamic page created that provides just that information for them. So we're about 8 months out from our website going live. It's a poor man's version of the Penn State website, and I think it's a good direction to go. So I won't show you the last slide, but this one I think is important. So what have we done to diversify our funding? We've had great success. We've reduced our need for our state allocation from 50% to 39%, and we've increased our fee-for-service work from 3% to 12%. Those are very meaningful numbers. In fact, our fee-for-service work is more than we get from Smith Lever, which is a topic for a whole other conversation. But I just kind of wanted to leave you with that message. I would also say that Oregon State University has been an institution and a program that I've looked a lot at what might work in the New Hampshire situation. I think they're doing a lot of things right. Thank you.
Good.